Hey there guys, Noe here, and welcome back to another Vanguard discussion video. Today I want to talk about how I am initially thinking about how exactly I'm going to be building both Harri and Nightrose for the premium format. I'm saying I'm building both, but honestly I'm more so interested in Grand Blue than anything else. And I just want to kind of spitball some ideas and kind of get a discussion going in terms of what we're actually thinking for at least our preliminary builds for the time being. I am pretty damn hyped based off the reveals that we got. I am using English deck log just to make this go by a little bit quicker. Okay, so where do we begin? Because like for Grand Blue in particular, their G-Zone was already pretty stacked for the most part. Like obviously you ran the Superior Stride just so you generate more markers. And at that point you kind of just have multitude of different options. If you're being counterblasted tonight, you go into regular Obadiah because you could just mill 3. If you have the CB and you need to fill up the drop zone, you go to big Obadiah just to get more value out of your drop zone overall. And that kind of leads into more combo plays. And then from there, it's kind of just wherever you want to go, right? As in terms of your main attacking option. Sometimes you go Bad Bounty depending on the matchups, especially against stuff that, you know, loves to retire stuff anyway, or stuff that just, like Late Joker, that's really annoying to stop. Sometimes you going into Bad Bounty into the V Nightrose kind of helps in that matchup. But then at that point, it's just a matter of how soon do we want to go into Bartholomew, really? And I think that's really the big thing, right? Because now the new Mist Phantasm kind of allows you to essentially still get a relatively high attack count without overcommitting, in the sense where, you know, like it gives you a better option, right? And I think that's really a big thing. Like sometimes you're not going to have that 30 or more in drop, and you usually want to save this for like the very end when your opponent's already having a low hand count because they've already tried to survive multiple of your major push turns already. So I think Bartholomew is still just too good of a card to not run in the build. I think it's just going to be a matter of how do you want to go and fill your drop? If not, do you want to be able to get around certain matchups? Okay, then you go Bad Bounty. And then do you just want a generically strong, like, on attack, gain a fuck ton of effects? That's where Mist Phantasm actually comes up, I feel like. In general, I just think that Mist Phantasm, the new one, is really fucking good. Not only because you gain power in the front row for that kind of effect, or specifically those rear guards, but you also get Vanguard crit pressure, which I think really the deck never really had before, outside of just hitting critical triggers off your drive check. So just having the ability to sit there and apply crit pressure and force, obviously at that point, because like your rear guards are going to be massive anyway, especially when you get the crest up, and then having crit pressure on the Vanguard on top of possibly any 12 attacks off. Commander Jaime did a recent video where he did like a 12 attack combo. If you haven't seen his list, I think that's as close as we're going to get to it, and I might be changing certain ratios in the build, but in general it's just really fucking strong. Being able to get 12 attacks off is fucking insane, but in general I think there's a lot of room for experimentation. I think it's just going to be a matter of how you readjust the G-Zone, because main deck has been consistently good for a while. Like you have everything that you could possibly want and then some in the main deck, so it's just a matter of how you readjust the G-Zone count. And because you know, these are your main 3 G guards through here. Negronora just to have a nice like extra way to build up GB. You have this one for the minus crit pressure, and then you have, you know, Negro Lily into Cannoneer bullshit. So like you have options, and it's just going to be a matter of how you readjust the G-Zone at this point, because I don't think Grand Blue really needs a whole lot to get itself going, and that's really saying a lot. I think when the deck set comes out, Grand Blue is going to be instantly tier 1, and it's going to remain tier 1 for a while. Like, Grand Blue is already a strong deck, even before the Strike deck set support. And now that it's getting a crest, there's more room for, like, it just to be absolutely ridiculous. Regardless, I think this is going to be a good deck. I think it's just a matter of readjusting, like, the ratios in the G-Zone at this point. So let's move on to Pale Moon for a moment. Okay, so for Pale Moon, Harri, up till now, has never been really consistent. I think what helps this deck now more so than ever is you have on-hit stride, or Superior Stride, wherever you want to call it, to generate 2 Excel markers, combined with the crest power, combined with like a myriad of your different other strides, that kind of combo into from Dark Lord to Princess, right? Like, this card is insanely good. I think the new Harry stride is easily splashable in every single Pale Moon build just because of this card. Because it specifically targets a Magia and not specifically, you know, a Harry Vanguard to activate any of the effects. So what ends up happening in most situations, I feel, you go on his stride to generate the Excels, and then from there, you go into Dark Lord Princess, and from there, you're pretty much good to do whatever you see fit. If you're up against Link Joker, obviously you go Masquerade Harry, like Master, you know, the Master Harry. Other times, if you want an additional Excel on top of that, you go Yvette, because why the fuck not? Also, being able to send the card back into Soul is really important. I don't know if this procs off the Crest ability, if it helps toward that. I'm kind of curious on that ruling. Let me know in the comment section, just for my own curiosity. But that's something you could always do. And then the follow-up after that, assuming you need it, is probably just either the Dark Lord Princess again into any of your other Magia strides, or you go into her for the Guard Restrict, or in the weirdest sets, you go Dust. And Dust is just sometimes a win con. I think it just, unless your opponent checks OT in those situations, your opponent's cooked, right? And I think having access to that kind of line of play is really good. The only thing you'll have to figure out is how you get the counter charge, right? Because you're counterblasting quite a bit in this deck, which is the one problem with the deck that I can see potentially having. But let's say that your opponent does CB deny you, then after you do your on-hit stride, you immediately go Dark Lord Princess into the Yvette, you know? And then you kind of build up more advantage from that, and then you can kind of just snowball from there. And I think really there's not a whole lot of outs to it. I think that Harry is going to be insane. I think it's likely Harry could easily become a tier 0 deck. And I know that seems weird, considering that Harry over the years has never been that consistent. But when you put everything together, it creates a really annoying package to stop. And especially since between the Crest and the Grade 2 promos from V, you're more than likely going to be able to generate that Pot of Greed immediately, and then that's on top of anything else you have in conjunction to that. Like, yeah, you run 4 bricks, but with as much draw as you have, I think though you can afford to run those bricks. In comparison to Nightrose, where people have actually been debating whether or not the Crest is beneficial, I would say yes, because even if, you know, you can't go into the Crest Maker, worst case scenario, it's just drop zone fodder. Here, it's not necessarily mandatory, but it is extremely impactful. If you see it, it is essentially just a high roll, and it's really good. Like, being able to, like, because this one, keep in mind, this version of Masquerade Harry allowed your opponent to choose which rear guards they put into the soul. The new one straight up says, hey, I'm choosing 2 of your rear guards, and they're going into soul. And that matters because of Hanali. Now, Hanali, granted, it's going to be a problem for both of these decks, but your opponent is legitimately going to have to sit there and be like, damn, if they go into Masquerade Harry, I can't really take full advantage of my Hanali at that point. So it's like, kind of a feels bad. So at that point, they have to sit there and debate, damn, do I proc off the Hanali to remove itself so that way I could survive a couple turns? But then at that point, again, the issue is you go Dark Lord Princess into Yvette to draw. And then you pretty much stall them out. And then if worse comes to worse and you really want to just kill them, you go Dust. Like, honestly, Dust is just so good still. I think Dust, out of all the Xerath dragons, has aged surprisingly well, right? Because for those who don't understand how Dust works, Counterblast 2, paying your opponent a damage, and all of their cards are reduced to 1. That is fucking insane. And when I mean reduced to 1, I mean their grade is reduced to 1, and their power is reduced to 1. What in the actual fuck? Like, this card is so fucking good, honestly. Oh, man, I wish I was building Harry. Now I even gotta sugarcoat it, because this looks like fun. Alright, can I just mutually agree? Can I just say that? As someone who's never fucked around with Pale Moon before, this looks fun. I would play Harry 100% if I was building Pale Moon in general. And who knows, maybe I'll build a preliminary list for premium, just because why not? Don't know when that will come out, because I'm kind of prepping for Pokemon Regionals, so I'll be kind of a little bit AFK for a little bit, but when I do come back for any sort of video discussion, I probably will kind of sit down and try to take a look at Harry and see, like, what exactly you can do, because, like, just the fact that you have so much combo potential. Like, honestly, both of these decks got a massive buff in their own right. Like, Nightrose with the new Stride, and then Harry even more so with the new Stride. And that's on top of their pre-existing package. Like, the only thing that I will say for Harry, actually for both of these decks, is that if you get the crest but then don't see the correct Harry, then it feels bad. But honestly, even still, like, as long as you have crest, you're good. You're golden. Like, honestly, I'm sure there's ways to make it consistent. We just have to fine-tune it. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. And until next time, this is Noah, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye, everyone.